There it is, balloons. Can't see them too well. They're much bigger in my world. I was hearing the noise from the hot air, and I'm like, "What is that? What is that?" I'm looking at my neighbor like, "What is she doing up there?" Kind of got it on as soon as I could, but I don't know if it's. I definitely can't see it too well. I'm hearing. I'm like, what is that? Somebody taking a hot air balloon ride today. This one's down close. All right, enough of that. I think I got this under control. All right, here we go again. Buckle up. Rough roads ahead. Let's see if we get that to work. So, what I'm saying is, again, something's coming back on something. Case law. Right? Anytime the court decides something, a court order, a ruling, whatever you want to call it, it creates case law. Case law, the more case law you create that is non beneficial to what outcome you desire, is detrimental to your future endeavors and, of course, your present endeavor. So, what you'll find if you go back through Justice Department history is you'll find they'll every so often they'll just roll over, right? And because they don't want to create the case law, because once the case law is established, it's more difficult to get rid of it. Wow, this grass is really plush. No wonder my allergies are so bad. Wow. It's a green year. This reminds me of the year in Naples that I got sick. Right. It was like a very early allergy season and very heavy. I'm sorry. So again, they need to get that to the administration, the Justice Department, to remind them that it doesn't benefit them to create case law that is not beneficial. So again, every time you run up to the Supreme Court, you have a Supreme Court finding. Most times, not most times, but at times the Justice Department will just say, well, we'll leave it here at the district court and make a deal and work it out. Right. Well, again, the court is not telling you can't deport those people. They're simply telling you there is a system to deport those people. Use that system. Well, it doesn't help you to accuse the court of something it's not doing. The court is not looking at like, okay, you can't deport these people. They're saying, no, when you deport these people, there's a way to deport it. And anybody that's validly what you say they are, you'll be able to deport them. You just got to present the evidence. And the weird part is, that's weird. So they're going to show them. That's so funny. This woman, it's the other. It's the garage next to mine. And as soon as I walked in front of it, it opened up. So I was like, that was just weird. And it happened like last time she was in it. He's in it now. The husband's in it with her. But last time I walked in front of it, it did the same thing, I think. Not last time, but before. Right. Thank you. Kind of look Filipino. Yes, sir. Thanks, Larry. Now my sinuses are screwed up. My eyes are screwed up. So again, the allergies are pretty bad this year. I'm taking a pretty good dose of allergy meds. Well, again, it's like when you see, like when I do that stuff, I like, you have to be able to, what do they call it? Just something to move. What do they call that? Swerve and move. I don't know. You had Dan Aykroyd film or something. We're dodging bullets or something. So you have to be able to think and move. I guess that's it. Think and move. You have to be able to think and move. So when they block you, for whatever, again, they're not blocking for deportation. They're blocking you from using that particular method of deportation, right? We don't blame the court because the court's just applying the law. I mean, it really is. Right. How you doing? You have two Supreme Court justices on your side, and that's it. So it's not a battle to be fought, even if you think you're right. Well, go back. In other words, what I would say is go back to the process you were using, and I don't think it's impossible. Again, I think what's going on is that you don't have enough immigration judges or something. But again, DeSantis came up with an idea. I kind of showed you how to do it. There's probably other ideas. Right. If you were to declare a state of emergency, which you did, and you would say you need to hire. I see what you're saying, using the military. Well, the question is, in a state of emergency, can you hire additional judges that using those emergency funds, whether it be military or otherwise, from outside the military? That's another question, right? But then you got people. How many people in the Justice Department do you have that have 10 years of experience in immigration law that you can lateral into immigration judging? Because you can do that. You can find U.S. attorneys or assistant U.S. attorneys right, that are have 10 years, and that's a lot of experience. So I don't know who does. I don't know if anybody would, who it is that has that. But again, anybody like that, you can make an immigration judge. Right. Now, the chief immigration judge is the one that decides whether they're valid. Right. But I think that person was recently appointed. I'm not sure if it was last administration. Well, because you have to do it legal. You can't play the game. It's obviously it's not going to be accepted. That's all you have to do is have a finding from an immigration judge to remove them. Now, I wouldn't play games with it either because, again, remember, there's appeals. There's an appeals board, an immigration process, and then there's also the district courts. And then it goes up to, appellate court and the Supreme Court. Right. So, again, just try to do it honestly and get it. You're already killing the deportation because you're not letting anybody in. Right. You're already deporting more than Biden. Biden didn't really deport that many because there was almost an equal number coming in, if not an equal number or more, right? So that's how you need to calculate your deportation effectiveness. Like, okay, Biden was deporting whatever a month, but this is the number that was coming in every month, and then when you compare those numbers, you come up, oh god, that sun is crazy. When you compare those numbers, you're doing a better job. And again, we don't want the barista deported. We don't want the guy that stocks the shelves at Price Chopper deported. There's no need to do that. We got to get them to come here to fight inflation. So what you're going to do is cause more inflation. Right. If you have valid people, then they're not blocking deportation. They're blocking the use of that thing you wanted to use, which I didn't think would fly in the end. I mean, maybe it will. I mean, it's still go up to the Supreme Court. Hi, how you doing? Well, immigrants don't want violent immigrants around either. But what you're doing is you're killing that whole part where you can get certain people to be your friend and be friendly to administration that are immigrants. I think it went crazy when you tried to beat Biden's deportation numbers. I might be wrong, but I think he said you have to beat them and you have to. So you went crazy and just started throwing everybody out, right? Instead of focusing. I find some of the people at home and said were collaterals. They're not even collaterals really. Well, because they had a court date. They were just like living their life here, waiting for their court date. Got an attorney somewhere. That's not a collateral, right? Correct. But like I'm hearing, like I probably wouldn't even have heard with my other hearing aids. I probably wouldn't even have heard the overhead balloons. Yeah, it looks like these are like the cheapest you can get, like online. There's no, I mean, they have good deals online, but they're not like it's not like your neighborhood audiologist that programs it. They program it there. They can program it from a distance, but there are several things that they do in programming it, like at Costco and locally, that they don't have available. And I don't even know if like this one place I went had that available because they had a very cheap audiology setup. Right now, the first place I went to was like high tech, right? or higher tech than general. But again, Costco has a great setup. Again, but again, the thing was $15.99, $1,600. Apparently, and I think I brought this up before, but apparently it's the same one as the ReSound Nexia 9, which you can find it for like $5,000 if you do it local. But if you go online, you can probably find it between $4,000 and $5,000. It's like $28.99. And it's supposedly identical. And probably the deal is if Costco wants to sell it, they have to alter it a little bit. I mean, it's a different model, but they can't turn on the tinnitus thing, like a tinnitus masker, and they can't. But the tinnitus masker thing, I only use when I'm like, I don't even use it, but I would use it like when I sleep or something. And the other one is something. It's cross something, and it's something to do with how something with one ear similar or different than the other, and it does something to. I'm not even sure what it does, but it does something. I think when you have a good ear and a bad ear, and it's not necessary actually. But, right. You can't. So they can't turn that on. They don't turn that on. Right. Now it's not the best hearing aid in the world, but for $15.99, it's the best hearing aid in the world. So what they did was they said, like you go online, it's kind of like bullshit. What are the top 10 hearing aids? It's like bullshit, like Forbes or whatever, all those pages. And essentially, they're saying the better hearing aid is the Jabra that you buy from them. I think it's $1,900, and it's only a Nexia or a Resound Nexia 5 technology. So it doesn't make any sense. So it is what it is, right? Heal that those people. No, this. Okay, so I couldn't figure out what was going on. There's this woman that sits outside here all the time, like she drinks coffee or something, and she sits and she hangs out there, and her dog barks at everybody. And I'm okay with it. There's no problem there. But I would see her pushing this kid in the wagon. I'm like, where did the kid come from? So I guess she's the grandmother. Right? And then I just saw the mother, and like I would always wave to the mother, and I'd heal them and all this. And I just figured it all out. Right. So I just saw the mother come out and I healed her. Right. I have responsibilities. I'm an angel. Right. Thanks, Larry. The kid looks like maybe he got like emotional issues. I'm not sure. Because kids are different. Some kids are one way, some kids are another way. Right. So yeah, if you ever need a hearing aid, go out to Costco. I got the membership. It's a 60, like a, what is it? What did I pay for them? I don't even know what I paid for. Was it $60 or something? Right. It's yeah. I could have got $60 plus a $20 pay card or something, but I'm like, nah. I'm just gonna go straight up $60. I'm not gonna mess around with it and mess up my membership or get it stuck where I can't do one thing or another for another 2 weeks. So I got the membership. I even made the appointment, I think, before the membership, and then I called them up and gave them the number. Right. So it's pretty simple. For $60, you save a thousand, like $1,400 or something. And it's really low stress compared to the other places. The guy that programmed mine, Israel, he can be pretty high strung, I guess. Right. You go in there and he's used to speaking loud for people, and I got my hearing aids in. I'm like, ah. Are you speaking loud, or is it just my hearing aid set wrong? But he's the son of missionaries. They're missionaries to Spain. So I was showing him like my one hearing aid. Look, this is the hearing aid with the longer wire. It's like Chinese sizes for sure. For Chinese ears. Right? They're too small. They're just barely long enough. And I said, this is the other one with the standard, and it's way longer. Right? But these have an extra like plastic tab on it, and it's just so much easier. So much easier to sit in the ear and it doesn't come out. Right. He sized it pretty spot on. He did a good job. But he has this equipment that they actually read the hearing aid in your ear canal. So Costco actually really does everything. As far as other people doing it, I don't know. I never saw their gear. But they don't just program it; they actually listen inside they look at the resonance of your ear. So if you get it online, you're not going to be able to do that. What I have to do with this is just to see how well it hushes the wind noise. Yeah, the birds are a little loud, but they're not like, and that's because my ears aren't attuned to the hearing aid yet, right? But if my other hearing aid was like worse, man, they're coming for me, the birds. Thank you, Larry. No, it's just weird to hear. So eventually, the hearing aid world is going to have to shift somehow, right? Because they can't afford. They can't afford Costco. That's why Costco's moving the most. That's how they keep the price down. They move a whole bunch of them. I think the Jabra one's the best. I don't know if the Philips or what's the other company? I've got the other company in there. And it has the Sennheiser, but the Sennheiser is just kind of like for mild loss or something. Now, I was surprised to sight because mine are small, but boy, these are small, right? These are even smaller. And he says the battery lasts like 21 hours, and that's with 5 hours of streaming Bluetooth. Yeah. Which means they'll last all day. That was my problem. I had to keep charging them after, they only last like maybe 6 to 8 hours. I paid like $3.99 for them. I'm still going to keep them. I can't keep the other ones. I can't control them with my app. These people. I'm going to throw something out, I guess. Thank you, Larry. I tried. I actually went back and forth with customer service for so long. I was about ready to start it again, and I'm like, nah. I'm through with that. Right. It works with my old tablet. It doesn't work with my new phones. Now, it worked with my new phones when they came, so I hope nobody was playing a game and hacked my hearing aid app. Because that one actually had an EQ on it. So no matter what the hearing test programmed, you could adjust the, it had like a 10-band equalizer, which is immense. Right? So you could adjust. But again, I couldn't do much with it because the app wasn't working. Right. I actually have my hearing aid down a bit. You tell me don't turn it down below 5 because then it won't, your body won't become accustomed to it as much as it needs to. Right. Here's like a year from now, we'll adjust it and it'll be even more intense. Yeah, there's no way my hearing would have been like this if they didn't do what they did. That's why they come around and they mess with you because they're like, ha ha ha, we got you. But they're going to hell, man. Life Part 2 is a son of a bitch for some people at least. Well, I'm here to tell you that. Very few preachers will tell you that you deep staters are just going to hell and that's it. And again, that includes Republicans and Democrats. Not here to play that game where it's only one party or the other. No, here he is pulling out. I was going to tell him if he needs a hearing aid, go to Costco's. If you ever need a good hearing aid, go to Costco's.
Go where?
A good hearing aid, go to
You got
Costco.
one? Is it one of the supersonic ones?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I paid $15.99, and they're going to reimburse me. The insurance companies will reimburse you, and it's online, the cheapest you can get it, and that's like online with very little, local service, $28.99 or
Is
something.
it the one that you was hearing like the AC units and all that stuff?
Oh, that one I had to reprogram. I reprogrammed those. They were all messed up. Yeah, this one's way better.
They used to advertise some. They'd show a guy just walking around or whatever, or out in public, and he'd be hearing a conversation.
Oh yeah, you can turn it up and do that, man.
Right,
you can eavesdrop on people with hearing aids.
That's how they were marketed it. For a minute, there was one.
Well, I'm online, so don't say too much.
Oh, my bad.
No. But, you can say what you need to say. It's just I don't want you to say, hey, I hate my boss or something like that.
I usually don't say that too often. Hey
All
man,
right, yeah, I gotta
you
get
have a
y'all
great day,
pizza.
man.
I think next week I'll be ordering pizzas or donuts. I don't know
Hey man, we
when
like them all.
yeah, I
I
just
know
had
you've seen
I had
my
to wait.
stories lately.
I wanted to wait because my neighbor made that complaint, and I don't want to look
You
like
know
I
that,
was trying to buy you off or something like that. So I
right?
waited a month until.
Right.
All right,
I
or a
get
month.
that. Hey
All
man,
right.
have a good day, bro.
Yep. Take care. Yeah, I made it comply. Like every time, it's weird because I think about giving them stuff. Somebody I have an issue with somebody. That's again, it's them hating on me, right? If they wouldn't hate on me, that shit wouldn't happen, right? Thanks, Larry. So I said that because last time I told him that, and then I remembered to get him the donuts or the pizza. If I don't tell somebody, I forget. Right? It'll be in his head, and it'll reverberate in mine. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. When I got to Oklahoma, I was still pretty darn healthy, and then something went wrong. Right. I had some, degeneration, but not like it got pretty bad. I got to the massage, and I can't remember how that was going 100%. But then she told me where to get an apartment. I had a problem getting that apartment, and then I think I stopped the massage for some reason. Just I was moving or something, and I shouldn't have stopped it. I should have stayed with it, and I shouldn't have moved at that point, right? But when they curse you, that's what happens. Bad luck. Because COVID would have come. If I'd have stayed in massages till COVID, I'd have been fine. Right? 'Cause I'd have had another 4 months of regular massage or so, 4 months. I was having trouble for getting to massages in Tyler. They were wheeling me down. I couldn't buy a vehicle. They were wheeling me down. I didn't know what all it was. I just couldn't get to it. And, right. Thanks, Larry. Well, there's just no reason. I talked to home and just go back to what you were doing before. Right. Agreed, Larry. It's sad to see people again. Like I was somehow put out. Oh, there's that kid. I think it's that kid. But I was like, because it's like you see the families in the church. It's just so sad I couldn't live that kind of life. I mean, they just destroyed me, destroyed my ability to get anywhere. So there was an inside kind of discussion. The reason they were telling me to go to probably Salt Lake is because not all like the church in Salt Lake, the LES is super powered, so they could really, do a work in my life much easier, right? And the power there is much stronger. And again, also the political power. So, you know, their shenanigans would only went so far, right? But what I can tell from the elder, he didn't come out and say anything, but his reaction was, I guess they experience it also. They experience oppression, right? But again, they have a large group and a large family of people, and it's just easier for them. Because I know Baptists don't like LDS, and a lot of these, like here, it's a lot of evangelicals and Baptists, and they are part of the deep state. Correct. Thank you, Larry. Yeah, the woman at first, for some reason, didn't because her dog would always bark at me. So he was kind of looking at me cross-eyed. But at a certain point, I guess she liked me for some reason. I don't remember where it was, but right. I'm trying to get healthy so I can walk on the trail a little bit instead of just around here. I don't know if I want to get them donuts or I want to get them pizza. I guess donuts probably. It's summer, warming up. Because me, I ate so much. I actually ate a white pizza. They tried to get me to order pizza sauce again. I'm like, nah. I only used it because I had ordered it. You take yogurt, Greek yogurt, mix it up with garlic and spices, a little bit of olive oil, put that on the pizza, and put the cheese on top. It actually hardens a little bit, like curd. It becomes like a curd, almost like a cottage cheese. But I mean, the flavor is phenomenal, way better than cottage cheese. Right. And then you have on top of that, you have the mozzarella cheese. Wow. Yes, it's almost 30 minutes. I don't know. I mean, I was walking like an hour, 2 hours. Now 30 minutes is killing me. Right. Again, when they show up, it seems like my health goes south. Who knows what they're doing? God knows, and God will punish them for it. Believe me. Today was an important day where they shouldn't have bothered me. A lot of stuff I had to focus on. So I think I'm gonna have to start cleaning up my apartment a little bit more, and then set up my treadmill. And then start walking inside. I think the allergens are a little bit too much right now. And my right eye is tearing like crazy. My left eye's got a little bit, but my right eye's really bad. So I got to go to the pain management. Maybe he'll figure something out. I'm gonna show him. I don't think we injected these particular muscles, and they're on the side, and they might be the instigator muscles. I don't know, because that's what he's looking. That's what he said. He's looking. It's really too soon to figure out where what the bad actors are. I mean, sometimes in pain management, like 10 years ago, they just go beak and let's go, and that's it. But again, had a lot of harassment between then and there, and I couldn't get to my treatments and stuff. So, right, there's more permanent damage. No, yet again, I might be wrong. Right. What's not known is like if they do like a fusion of the lumbar, would that cause the upper back just to relax? Right. But as far as it only affecting the lumbar, there's something up higher that's got issue too. But again, it could be coming from an uneven back because of the lumbar. Yeah, you've been nice to have gotten to my brothers. And, when I was about 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago. But again, he's already proved. God's already proven that He wills it away. Right, 100%. So as soon as He wills it away, then it doesn't happen. Because He's got money and status. And of course, they're in His head. The Satan incarnates. Whew. That's a little tough walking tonight. Let's take a break here. Maybe when it cools off later, it'll be a little easier. I don't know. Woke up kind of off balance and been off balance all day. The massage really didn't do too much. I have to rinse my sinuses here after this walk. So what I'm noticing is, I've got a lot of mucus production, and I noticed my right ear went down a little lower. So some of this is just from mucus in the ear. I definitely should have never went to Oklahoma here. I just couldn't think of it. Right. Again, I think that's where they wanted me to go, quote unquote. Right. So it became the place that I went to. Again, the more massage I do, it could turn around in a week, and things could heal to the point where it's pretty steady. Like I said, I need the upper back to be kind of bilateral and firm, not too tight, not too loose. Right. Problem is, it's hard to get it to go bilateral because that right tightens up real bad, and then the left just goes a little weepy from that. Actually. Yeah, it just was weird because he usually does a better massage. It just was totally off, and I was like, ugh. And none of it seemed to work. Kind of need a little more massage on the cranial tissues in a certain way, and he just doesn't have that experience, I guess. I had to go with somebody. It actually told me to wait till next month and then use both of those, but I couldn't get to that answer. But I probably should have went and saw that other woman. Right? It's just difficult in Kansas. There's a pretty heavy racism around here. So what happens is she's black, the massage therapist, and it's hard to get to her, right? And she's disabled on top of it, right? So I probably should have went to see her, and now I have to wait a while till this heals before I get the other massage. She focuses more heavily on the cranial tissues. Right. Whew. Well, we're definitely at 30 minutes, right? I got to get out there and walk. I can't just lay down all day. As much as I wanted to keep that other hearing aid, I can't do it. There's no way for me to control it. And then, like, when I put it in the case and take it out and use it again, it's definitely shifted the settings. It doesn't maintain the settings right. So that's kind of, and then I got to go to my tablet. I can't use my phone. And then when I'm outside, of course, I don't have my tablet. Definitely a mess. Get my other charging case out. Yeah, like a month and a half ago, if you'd have told me I would have ended up with these, I would have said, no way. And the closer I looked, I was like, oh, well, at least use my benefit for something that makes sense. Because I was going to go local and buy like a really good hearing aid and use my benefit, but it didn't make sense because my benefit was only a few $100s. Like I only saved a few $100s doing it that way. So I said, this way I can buy some really, a really nice pair. I didn't realize they were that nice because it just didn't make sense that they were selling it for $1,600 and it was actually selling the same kind of model in a different name, same technology. It's actually the same hearing aid. It's just a different title, different company. It makes sense, but I guess it's real. It's like when I sleep, I don't always put it in my ear. I put it on my ear and just kind of lay it just in case I need it. Just in case the deep state comes in. I'll be ready to go. Yeah, to corrupt people. They probably killed people physically. There ain't no doubt. I mean, the jury's still out on whether they killed Jonathan Luna straight up. Correct. Yeah, I don't know if I want to use this padded eye drops. I don't know if I'm going to put any drops in my eye. I mean, look at the world. I mean, since when have you heard that people buy eye drops and then they go blind within a year? You know, I mean, that's crazy. Correct. What's from the bullshit you're all doing? Everybody knows you're devils, all of you. I got to try to make this bed with the new sheet, the air bed sheet. But I thank Walmart for all that wondrous stuff there. For, you know, Walmart Plus Week or whatever it was called. Very nice of them. And I almost forgot for returning the hearing aid that if I have a label on it, I can return it to the the local store over here instead of the UPS store, and they can get it mailed. So when a hat came up, I'm like, what is this? What are you doing? Because that's all I could do was send it UPS with box and label. And then I'm like, oh, and then something was like, oh, but you can take it across the street. It's a local store with very short hours. So I'm not sure what the deal is, but it's nice because I can give them something there. Do something nice for a small local store. So I might go there first thing when they open. Oh my God, I'm so freaking sore. So it's got to be the allergens making it worse. Right. Like Larry. Well, I recommend if you buy one pair, like from your insurance company, just buy like Ellie here. I think is the one I got now. I mean, just buy something like that off of Amazon for a spare, right? Or while you're charging the other, right? It actually it's actually a nice hearing aid for the price. It's just what they should have done, and they may do it on their next model because I suggested it to both companies that they should make it with the hearing test and programmable, right? Because their guy can program it, and you do get use of their audiologist. So they should make it so they can program it. Program it. It's not that difficult. If the hearing test is programming it, then it's only a hop, skip, and a jump to having it programmed remotely. You just got to create the interface, right? The online interface, because the settings are already there. It's already programmable. You just got to make it programmable via the other method. So yeah, I told them, that way, you'll probably get more people in because for some people the hearing test is a little too technological. Too again, when you're done with the hearing test, you have to adjust some things, and they do give you like a tone adjustment, which is which scores pretty good. So I even pressed my blue blazer that I had. I actually steamed it, but it came. Some of the fabric looked a little puckered or whatever, and I got my iron and I pressed it, and it actually looked good. And I was getting ready to go to church, and I'm like, I got that appointment. Yeah. Well, actually, I tried to make a 9 o'clock appointment, but I wanted to do an hour and a half, and I ended up with. Uh, I should have did an hour. Is what I should have done. Right. And then I wouldn't have been so upset about the enhancement. Right. Well, white pizza is not that bad for you, especially if you're using 0% fat mozzarella. And then the red pizza, the only thing wrong with that is you can get a little bit of acid indigestion from it. But I mean, it's not that bad. It's not really that bad. I made quite a few of those. I prefer the 7-inch pieces, but I got a ton of larger pizza crusts, so I'm gonna have to start making those. Thank you, Larry. Well, again, you're fighting a battle that you can't win, which has multiple repercussions, which includes losing a certain portion of the immigrant community that we might be able to maintain to help us. Right. With many things. 100%. Thanks, Larry. And then you're also making shitty case law. Unfriendly case law. If you didn't kill me, I probably would have been closer in and could have advised you better, but I want to play your games just like everyone else. Thanks, Larry. Well, it's just not worth it because the more case law you make that goes against what you want, the harder it's going to be to do anything. Right. So the case law is leaning against your desires. Again, you just go back to the standard system. The only thing you need to do, and I brought this up already, you need to figure out, and again, so did Ron DeSantis at a certain point, you need to get additional immigration judges. You got to figure out how to do that. Now, you have a limited number of people in the Justice Department that have 10 years experience with immigration law. So you need to find them and you can use them. The key is they don't have to go physically in front of an immigration judge. I don't believe they do. So again, you want a like a Zoom court or whatever you want to use. Right? And so all your people from the Justice Department, right? Well, so I think you might be able to put people from ICE in to, again, you just have to be careful. You don't want, if you're from ICE, don't rule by the law because you don't want, you don't want your stuff overturned and then there'll be questions. Right. But I imagine you could take people from ICE and make them administrative judges. Now, I'm not sure what's required to make that position. Requirements for administration judge, right? Administrative judge appointment. See what it says. The appointments clause. Okay. Let's see. Okay. The APA does not, however, specify what procedure should be used to appoint ALJs. Oh, you have to consent of the Senate, though. I didn't know that. Right. The APA does not, however, specify. I didn't know. I didn't think it said the Senate, but I guess. consent of the Senate, except that Congress may provide for the appointment of inferior officers by the president ahead of the department or court. U.S. So what does that mean? Okay, so there's some questions here. Okay, where's the Antonio Scalia? The question is whether they have to be approved by the Senate. I guess it can go either way. Okay, Lucia. In Lucia versus Securities and Exchange Commission, the Supreme Court held that SEC LGs are officers of the United States subject to the Appointments Clause. As a consequence, the appointment of these LJs by SEC staff members was unconstitutional. After Lucia, the president issued Executive Order 13843, which, among other things, placed LJs in the exceptional service and, as a result, eliminated the existing personal managed administered process for selection of ALJs. After Lucia began to modify hiring procedures to implement Executive Order 13, administrative law judge appointments process. Yeah, I'm thinking that the president can appoint them and do something so the Senate doesn't have to approve it. Okay, so they do need a. Yeah, I guess some certain people, as long as they have a law degree, but it says that they need 7 years of legal practice. So I guess the only way to, well, the one way to do it is like the JAG thing that DeSantis is speaking about, but it requires a little bit of extra work to get them there. Well, they TDY them to the DOJ, right? And then the DOJ. Wait, no, wait. How did I do that? Because they first had to be appointed administrative law judge, right? Then lateral into immigration judge. Now, some of these judges, some of these JAG officers sat on proceedings as a judge, per se. JAG officers acting as judges. Right here. How the experienced officers of the JAG Corps often serve as military judges and court marshals in courts of inquiry. So you find those people, that would be a lot better for to pass muster. Right. Thank you, Larry. So you'll need so the JAG officers that I think DeSantis was talking about probably won't make it. I mean, they could if there's a mechanism, but I don't know if there is. But the JAG officers with the more experience. So 7 years, you're talking about possibly a colonel, major or colonel at least a major, if not a colonel, right? Which then there probably wouldn't be any question of appointment. The only question would be would they allow it, right? There's only 1,800 JAG officers, I guess. No, wait. What's it saying? Though JAG is a popular descriptor for service member, where the Army prefers Judge Advocate or JA instead, there are over 800 JAs in the Army, from first lieutenant to lieutenant general. A JAG judge is required. A JAG judge. It's not a JAG judge, it's a JAG lawyer. It's you just you need more immigration judges. I said that before. I don't know if you tried to do it and ran into some pushback. And like I said, you want you want several Zoom courts. So like from anywhere in the nation, theoretically, they could go to the Zoom court and hold court. Like if they don't have an immigration judge available at 7:30 p.m. in Wisconsin, they can dial into the Zoom court. Maybe even D.C. Right? Base it in D.C. and hold court. What makes the best use? If you hold it to a geographical location, you might have judges sitting around with nothing to do, right? And then if you make it nationwide, that probably won't happen. But create immigration judge positions for Zoom court, and then run it out maybe D.C. or wherever they are. Actually, it doesn't really matter. Thanks, Larry. And then it has to be 24/7. So again, if somebody 12:30 needs a judge, right. And the point is that you may arrest somebody at 7:30 and need to see the judge, or at 6. You might not see the judge till 10:30 or something. But right. Thanks, Larry. So create immigration Zoom court, tons of it, as much as you can. because then no matter where the officers find themselves, they have an immigration judge to see. And they could be out in the middle of farmland somewhere, right, going through something, and find detain somebody, go right up on the video court and get it done. Right. You just got to get. Well, I guess attorneys too, right? So the attorney could be on Zoom court too, right? But they'll say they haven't met with their client. I guess sometimes they do that, right? But I guess in initial proceeding, it doesn't matter, right? Well, theoretically, if you build on that land Texas gave you, and you're building, pretty much a what do you call that? A deportation zone, a deportation court. You're going to want a ton of immigration judges there, so you can just see everybody as soon as possible, and boom, boom, boom. Right. What are they doing now? They don't even see a judge, right? Or what is it? That'll be the next issue. They see judge. Yeah, it's very important. They set it up during Trump's first term, and I'm not here to badmouth Hegseth, but that's a bad thing. We need to try to mitigate civilian deaths. We really do. That's why we lost those wars. Too many civilian deaths, and then the whole country turns against you. Right. Thanks, Larry. So he has to think about that one. I guess the Civilian Harm Mitigation and Response Office, Civilian Protection Center. Right. If we ever go into Mexico, that's going to be important. Being able to move the Mexican people out of harm's way. We don't want the Mexican people to sympathize with cartels. Thanks, Larry. No, I didn't even know how many kids we killed in that war. I was like, and a lot of, and to their credit, a lot of military people were as nice as they could be, handing out candy and all sorts of stuff. But when you have that many civilian deaths and that many, especially children civilian deaths, there's just no way to win. You got to keep a certain portion of the hearts and minds, or it's over. Correct. That's where we lost in those wars. Too many people lost family members. You got to remember they're people. No matter how that's one of the things I was able to fight in the military and in law enforcement, losing the fact that these people are people, just like you and me. When I was in Iraq, that kind of crept up, and then I beat it down. Because we blew up this, I told you, I blew up this anti-aircraft gun, and I really didn't clear the civilians. And I'm thinking, what the hell am I doing? What the hell are we doing? These are people. It was a pretty good demolition pack. The plan was for it to go straight up, like kind of almost implode. Like the force was going in, right, and then it would shoot straight up. But then like this little wheel, it was a small anti-aircraft gun, and there's a little wheel on it, metal wheel, it just went ding, 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 ding. I'm like, ah! There's some GIs around, but it was mostly, it was mostly GIs, but I was like, where did that family go? Because we're packing it, and this Iraqi family passes by, and I'm like, where are they? Yeah, it was like Pucker Factory. I was like, don't hit anybody, please. It was perfect, except for that little wheel. Bing, 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 ah! we were actually perfecting, like standing like right near what we were demolishing. I don't even know why we did it. It was stupid. Like we wouldn't even walk off that far. Right. The worst was the troops that they had actually primed something. I don't even know if they set fire in a hole. I can't even remember. All I know is I was in the couple of the track, and we had a prisoner of war, and the bunker went boom, and we were maybe like 15 feet, 15 to 20 feet from the bunker. It was an underground bunker. And like, what are you doing? And then like you had to get rid of the prisoner of war because he was just wasted at that. Because he was in all that bombing, the prep bombing. So we took him prisoner and we were driving around. We gave it MRE because we didn't know what to do with him. So we had to try to find MPs or somebody after that. So you got to get rid of this guy. He's a mess now. The explosion freaked him out. So we had to go find somebody to. We gave him the MPs or something. But we didn't mind him hanging out. He was because we knew he was just like I don't know how long before he was a civilian. They threw a uniform on him. Underneath was just we were like me and Sergeant Cuevas were talking. It was like 2 weeks ago he was standing in Baghdad and they threw him in a truck. He still had his remember those '80s warm up suits with the stripe down the side? He had one of that's what he had underneath his uniform. He was styling in Baghdad with I don't remember what color it was, like a red warm up suit. I think we used to call them warm up suits or something. Threw him in a truck, gave him a uniform and a weapon. Then he got bombed for like another 2 weeks, and then we came along. He may have been a deserter. I don't know. He was on the wrong side of the fence. Like we were on the Iraqi side of the fence because we'd already did the breach, and he was on the other side of the barbed wire and concertina wire. So we actually had to breach. We had to breach the wire from the inside going out to take a prisoner. And he was freaking out because Sergeant Cuevas went for it. Like if I went for it, like a white American, but Cuevas went for it. He's Puerto Rican, so he was told that we were Saudis, that the Saudis in Israel were attacking. So of course Cuevas could pass for Saudi or Israeli, He's like a dark-skinned Puerto Rican guy with glasses. Not dark skin, I guess medium to dark. Right? That was funny. He was like free, so he's still freaking out as soon as Cuevas comes along. And I got the 50 cal aimed at him. We didn't know, he could have had a bomb or something, right? And then we were like, this guy's okay, It's great. It's like he's still got his warm up suit, underneath. He's like in Baghdad 2 weeks ago. All right. Civilian on the corner. Get in there. That's a lot of what they did. They took those people and put them on the front lines as fodder, right? And then the Republican Guard started retrograding, right? I'm sorry. But yeah, you got to fight that feeling. It's the only way to win. Right? We let people go north. We weren't looking to bust stones at all, right? As long as they weren't like in uniform or had weapons, we let them go north. I think that's pretty much what they did. If they were stuck in Kuwait, they at a certain point they would just be in civilian clothes without weapons and just start walking north, right, back to Iraq. They respected us for it. I know back then we were respected for the way we carried ourselves in war, and afterwards we weren't looking to punish anybody, right? Yeah, Iraqis straight up told us, said, you're treating us better than we would have treated you. We would have killed you. Right? They were feeding them, getting them a medic. And I think the medic died. It was a woman. Like I said, of course I know. It's like you're in the middle of a war. You're like, women. It's a woman. You haven't seen women like ages, But I know that I don't remember when I got the message about the female medic being killed, but I think it was the one that came in to help us with our prisoners of war. Right? I think one was injured or so. I can't remember exactly what it was. And then she loaded it back. They were in a track or something. Then she loaded back up. I think it was a track, a Hummer or a track. I can't remember. But she loaded back up in the vehicle. I remember that. And then I think the vehicle got taken out or something. We definitely were driving over anti-personnel mines. It was crazy. Like we didn't give a shit. But I'm like, what if there was an anti-tank mine in the mix? Because like they just told us, you have to. They told us we have to get to Iraq, like northern Iraq. So we had to go through Kuwait. So we were left of Kuwait in Iraq. Then we hooked into Kuwait, where the highway of death was. So it's like kind of we ran into like we were top speed all the way to like I guess it was Kuwait City. I don't even remember what it was, but where the highway of death was. That's when we ran into a traffic jam. And it was just disgusting because there was dudes like, dudes in Graves registration wearing like Mop 4 and we got nothing on, like, like who knows what diseases we're going to catch. And then, throwing bodies up on the semi trailer and all that. Right. So they were all Mop 4. Right. Then we finally busted out of Kuwait City. It wasn't, or the highway of death, whatever that was. And it wasn't that far up into Iraq. We got up we started moving fast again. We got up. We were going to actually. We had to. We had to get to Basra. That's what it was. Yeah, we were going to do the big battle in Basra, but they called it off. We were all ready to fight in Basra. Right. I was going. We had actually rescue, not necessarily rescue, but I think there was a UK unit that was bogged down it was bogged down in Basra. So we were supposed to, Big Red One was going to come in and wax ass, but they called it off, and they said that's when they decided to do the ceasefire. Try to do a ceasefire, right? And we were like we had to find all the munitions in southern Iraq where we were and blow it up and get rid of it because they knew we were going to pull out, most likely pull out of Iraq. So, right, so that's when we found a dead body. And the things you do, people do. He kicked the lieutenant kicked the dead body. I'm like, yeah. It's like for smelling. I'm like, yeah, you stink. I was like, what? Don't disrespect the dead body. It's just like a knee-jerk reaction, but because they like dummies, they opened up the body bag and see who was in there, and they go, it stinks. All decomposed. When in war, don't open the body bag. Mental note. You stumble upon a body bag, just let it be. It's going to smell if you open it. It was crazy. Everybody was smoking cigarettes. Our lieutenant was like a bodybuilder, like a real bodybuilder type dude, like health freak from California. And he was even smoking cigarettes. My wife found out I was smoking cigarettes. She killed me. I don't know what it is about being in the Army and war. Everybody smokes cigarettes. I don't know if that happened anytime, like modern Army or not. I remember going through all the bunkers up in Iraq. That could have got me sick. Right. Right. But we treated people good. Right. We were respectful. Except for when I checked where the families were. There's a couple families, I guess, that passed by, and I'm like, oh, where were they? After the fact, it's like I should have checked before we did the fire in the hole, right? There was even a lot of GIs around us. I don't even know. They were pretty close too. I don't know. Maybe it's pretty dangerous what we were doing, I guess. I mean, we planned it good. Like I said, it was just that one like little crank wheel that flew off and it started going, getting, I'm like, skipping, bing, bing. I'm like, Please don't hit somebody in the head. But it worked great. Because we had aluminum rounds in it and everything, so it's like a big firework. Really, is what it was when we were done. We destroyed the anti-aircraft gun, but we made a firework out of it. I think we got the aluminum rounds where the body was. It was quick. It was crates, cases of aluminum rounds. So what we did is we constructed the thing so that the aluminum rounds would go straight up, and it was like a big pineapple in the sky. It was daylight, but boy, it was bright. That's great stuff. I'll tell you that. I can't believe they messed up my after my retirement. When I retired, I thought that's all they wanted for me to leave the Marshal Service. Right? I think part of it is that everybody else was causing trouble around Luna's death, right? So they like looked at me like a loose end, and they came after me, or who knows? They may have just made it up, just so they could come after me again. Now, you got to be careful on cuts, Trump. It can cost us more money. Well, some's a fraud, waste, and abuse, but some of it we know saves us money in the long run, right? Or entices people not to do something that we don't want them to do, right? Because it costs more money for us to respond to things such as what we don't want them to do. Only a matter of time until enemies. Well, you just want to back out gracefully. I mean, you keep digging your heels in and threatening and telling the judges this. The judge did not block deportation. The judge blocked that type of deportation. There's plenty of ways to again, like I told you, the plan was to get as many immigration judges on as you can. I don't think you've gotten anywhere with that. Again, DeSantis brought it back up again, but right, got to figure out how to get that to happen. Well, I think in a national emergency, you may be able to do something, right? But I don't know what gets to be. I don't know who the chief immigration judge is either. It sounds like he may have been appointed by Trump's administration, but I don't know. It could have been Biden could have appointed him before he left. Wish I could look that up. Who appointed the current chief immigration judge? Garland appointed Sheila McNulty. I thought it was somebody real new. No, here it is. It's not the right one. There it is. No, Hunsucker, chief immigration judge, acting. Oh, so that's Trump, right? eyes are so screwed up. Gosh, my eyes are so screwed up. Who appointed? Go back through. I guess it's Trump. It looks like Barr appointed him last time, so. 2019. Yeah, he's apparently a right wing judge. All right, so he should be able to. So you have to contact him and figure out how to do this. Right? You got to troubleshoot it and try to figure out where you can cut corners. He's the one that's got to approve it. In the end, Keith E. Hunsucker, Chief Immigration Judge acting. I don't know if you're going to put somebody else in or what you're going to do there. Actually, well, no matter what you do, and he was appointed by Attorney General William Barr in August 2019. No, that's where you need to go. And that's where you should have been going. You shouldn't have been saying, oh, we're just going to deport people on the Alien Enemies Act. You should have been constantly moving number of immigrants. Well, that's where your shortfall is. That's where your emergency is. So that's where you got to find. That's where you got to make up your loss. Right. I'm sure there's something you come up with. He's the guy that's got to prove it. So you have to take it past him. You may even be able to ask him what he thinks is what's the best way to get some on. And then you could again, when you make the system, you don't have to. Hang on. All right. So the key is that you have some open and shut cases, and you have some like really tough cases. So again, you assign the tough cases to the more experienced judges. But if you have some of them, it's just almost like a rubber stamp, because they're just obviously going to be deported. Right. So what you do is you find. You illustrate your system so and again you have court clerks, and so you can have a recess, and then you can figure it out. If you can't, like, even experienced judges will do a recess just to figure some tough case out. Yeah, actually, right. To counter the inability to use the Alien Enemies Act, then you bring in additional judges, because you're going to have hearings. It's not an impossible thing to do. You just have to figure out how to increase the number of immigration judges to fit the task at hand. That's really where the whole thing falls apart. Well, what they're saying is the administration's use is outside of. Actually, I got to turn down my. I have no idea what happened in my freezer. I got to turn that down now. Two break it down. That was kind of sucky. I lost $6 worth of ice cream. I mean, it's in there, but I don't think I should eat it. It was sitting out and it melted. Now I got to put my ice cream in the freaking microwave because it's too frozen. I just saw that. I have no idea how long my sound's been off. But if you prioritize who you deport, then you won't have trouble. And you don't have to deport the number you think you had to deport because obviously just simple deterrence that you're providing is going a long way. With keeping the number from increasing is what Biden didn't do. No matter what number Biden deported, he never got any headway because it was always backfilling, which is something you don't have happening. The problem with it is if you go too far and everything flips, they're going to undo what you did. Well, if they don't accept a Republican conservative follow-up government, you want it to at least be middle of the road. So you can have bipartisan agreements. No, I'm not against all undocumented immigrants because it's a game like business owners are playing. Obviously, they're here by the will of wealthy people that own businesses and that want cheap products and cheap homes. Actually, we need additional construction workers coming across the border. Right. Thanks, Larry. We actually need to build more homes so that we can, reduce the housing crunch. Now it's kind of weird because everything's like at a standstill. Right. That's a lot of turmoil that we don't need. Thank you, Larry. So that's about it for now. Just stay peaceful, praise God, and all to do. Reestablish a new plan that includes immigration judges, so you have some way to deport